name is Diane, and I'm coming to you from my Gateway show live here in Diamond Springs, California, Northern California. I am very, very happy today to be talking to a dear friend of mine. She is a channel. She is someone who I've done some work with, and what we're going to do today is kind of going to be something new and something that will be an experience. If you can see, I am sitting here in front of the heart of Mount Shasta. Shakti lives at the base of Mount Shasta. So she has access to the guides and the power and the presence of this beautiful mountain. And we are coming here today to discuss our lineage. Many of us were around during the time of Lemuria and Atlantis, and many of us are waking up right now to the remembrance of what it was like to live on these 5D continents. And it's something that can be really painful and sad for us in many ways, because we lost a lot of our families and friends during the sinking of these continents. And what is that all about for us? Why are we here now? We've come here today to speak to the masters through Shakti. They channel through her, through this mountain, to talk about those ancient continents of Lemuria and Atlantis, and about the 5D city we call Telos, which was built below Mount Shasta after the fall of Lemuria. I find this really interesting, really powerful, and really time right now for us to wake up and remember where we came from, and maybe where some of the pain is that we remember as we lost so much when these continents sank. And why did they sink? And why are we trying to move back into this timeline right now? I just love this experience. I love the history of this. Maybe you might call me an ancient historian in some way, but I'd like to introduce Shakti to you. Shakti is a modern day medicine woman born and raised in Argentina. She took her first steps into her spiritual path 40 plus years ago, seeking answers during her late teenage years, learning meditation and energy healing from Andean and Jesuit traditions.
Welcome, beloved ones. We are truly filled with joy by your presence here today.
Later on, she studied with masters from Japan, China, and India, including more than a decade of Buddhism. She has had direct transmission with Curanderos from Central America and received medicine from the Navajo tradition. What is so really cool right now, and I guess that's probably why she moved to where she moved, is that Shakti started channeling ascended beings of light in 2012 and receiving direct teachings and guidance that she has incorporated to her vast repertoire of tools, creating her own methods for healing and teaching. So I can only say that I've worked with Shakti. I know some of the teachers she works with, and it's a great privilege and pleasure for me to introduce right now my dear friend, Diva Shakti.
Wow. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And it is such an honor to be here. I'm so excited and thrilled, and the masters are already here. And when you were talking about those questions, so much depth of emotion came for me, because there is pain. So it's beautiful to be able to share a lot of this wisdom that is ancient and that is pertinent to this moment in humanity's history. And it's pertinent to everyone that is attracted to watch this channel and this program, because it will give you, listener, watcher, information that you can apply to your life, also practical life guidance, not just this woo-woo 5, 6, 7 dimensional information, but there is a correlation that is what matters, right, between this information and our lives. That's what we want, right? Why are we called to know this information now? Yeah, I feel that the guidance I've been receiving has transformed my life radically in all these years. And yes, I started channeling in 2012 fully with a mastery of the channeling, but I've actually been channeling my whole life, and I've channeled in spurts, I've channeled here and there. And I think that most of us awakening now have that type of channeling that we cannot master exactly when we turn it on and off, but we do have a powerful intuition. We do have a powerful inner knowing. And the invitation in this conversation we're going to have is for you to tune into that inner knowing, because you will feel the truth in the words that will come through.
I so agree with you, because that's why I'm here. Obviously, I've been drawn to the mountain herself in a huge way back in 2012. Also, learning about Telos and the 5D city below Mount Shasta and in the inner earth cities, period. This was really new to me, but it spoke to me in so many ways. I'm so grateful. I too have studied so much about these inner earth cities, about our heritage. And what I really would like to ask of Master Adama, possibly, or the other ascended masters, is, can you describe Lemuria and Atlantis, and what was life like on those continents?
Yeah. I'd like to preface by saying something before going in there, if that's okay with you, Diane. And it's for people to know that you said we're going to be having this conversation today because this is our lineage. And this lineage includes what is known as the Great White Brother Sisterhood of Light. And the masters that are within this brother sisterhood of Great White Light are masters many of us are familiar with. Masters such as Joshua and Mary Magdalene, to Saint Germain, to Master Hilarion, to Serapis Bey and Kutumi. And there's many, many, many. These are all masters that are very intimately related to our past Lemurian and Atlantean lifetimes. These are beings that existed on Earth, and in the lifetimes in which they achieved their own enlightenment, they are now working to us through these archetypical lives where they received the enlightenment, and each one of them brings different gifts. And the reason I think it's important for you all to understand this is because Master Adama is also within this lineage, and he is the high priest of this inner city of Telos, or 5-dimensional city of Telos. And when I channel, if you ask different questions, different masters may come through and give the answers. It's important to understand the power of the different masters bringing different frequencies, and you will feel that as we're having that conversation. So why don't you give me a second to tune in and calling them in, and then you can ask again, please. Just give me a moment. I'm going to let Master Adama come through. Greetings, beloved ones. I've heard you calling, and it is my pleasure to be here today because these two are dearest to us. Your question is to describe Lemuria. Is that correct?
Yes, please. What was life like on Lemuria? Why did so many masters go there?
You must understand that Lemuria was an ancient civilization of wisdom, seated by the star beings who came to Earth to establish the experiment of humanity on Earth, supporting the planet in its journey of ascension. At the time of Lemuria, in particular, the Lemurian civilization was highly advanced to the point that communication was on a vast level telepathically, even though at the time speech was also part of our daily life. Our bodies at the time were less dense than the bodies on Earth at this time. And even though physically we were much larger than the average human today, we were about 1.5 times the height of the average human. We required less food to thrive. Daily life in Lemuria included the recording of our star wisdom for future generations to benefit from, required time studying the human seed that we were creating by combining our own DNA with the DNA of the foundational human race. We were highly evolved technologically, but not in the way in which you're familiar with technology today. Our technology existed in the higher dimensionalities, and we were able to utilize it with intention. We didn't have what you call gadgets. We didn't need those, but we had the ability to use technology the way we understood it, to gather information, to arrange energy and information in ways that were useful for us and our projects. At the time of the demise, as greater cataclysms were occurring, the Lemurians had understood ahead of time that the Lemurian continent would go underwater, and they began to prepare for it by sending emissaries directly to all directions of the globe. However, the flooding of the continent happened much faster than was expected, and it created the need for an urgent solution. And the city of Telos, which was birthed under Shasta, was created especially to save children and wise men and women that could hold the frequency of the survival of the human experiment. I also want to clarify that the inner city of Telos has a very vast expanse, much broader than the area directly underneath the Mount Shasta area. It extends almost all the way through the national forests of what you know as the state of California, in almost reaching what is known as Lake Tahoe. Also, the city of Telos is connected to what is known as the Agartha network. And the Agartha is the network of all of the 5 and 7 dimensional cities that are supporting the ascension of the earth. Cities you may have heard of are Shambhala, that has the main entrance in the Himalayas, in the Himalayan mountains, namely near the city known as Rishikesh in India. Just to name a few. There are also cities underneath Lake Titicaca, cities underneath a mountain in the country of Argentina where this one, Shakti, was born, known as Cerro Uritorco. There's an inner city central to the continent of Africa, and there is entrances to several smaller sized inner cities directly under what is known as Tuscany in Italia. So you can see that the support for the ascension of humankind at this time is coming from many, many places. Is there anything else you would like to know, beloved one?
Can you describe, Master Adama, the sinking of the continent of Lemuria and Atlantis? Why did some stay and why did some leave?
Yes, I can describe that. And this one, Shakti, has been shown this before by us, and we know that it may bring pain for many of you as you begin to remember. When it was understood that the sinking was happening much faster than it was provisioned, most all of the high priests and high priestesses in Lemuria at the time offered their lives to support energetically all of the conscious souls that were present in Lemuria at the time while the continent was sinking, by praying and sending the energetics of love and light so that all these souls wouldn't have to be engaged in the cycle of karmic rebirth to heal from the deep pain of this experience. In short, the Lemurian continent going under was accompanied by thousands of priests and priestesses that were going under with the continent while working to support the evolution of the souls and hold the children's souls that were sent to Telos.
Yes, I can feel that deeply myself. It is still very, very sad for me also. But a lot of us wonder, why did this happen? What was the conflict between Atlantis and Lemuria?
So initially, these two civilizations that had different starseed origins were operating on Earth, bringing forth different technologies that could coexist in harmony and beauty. And both these continents kept expanding and exploring their power, and for many years, thousands of years, the coexistence happened in separate ways and parallel ways until some of the souls that were guiding experiments and the power lost the harmony of love and became powerful, became greedy for power, and became abusing the incredibly powerful technologies that were available. And they did this to harness benefit for themselves and no longer holding the utmost benefit for all of the Earth experiment. And it was through the clashing of these powerful, I should say, uber powerful technologies that the cataclysm was created. It wasn't a natural accommodation of the tectonic plates or eruption of the magma from the earth. This explosion that affected the whole continent, and especially Atlantis and Lemuria, was created by these civilizations.
So it seems to me that in a nutshell, as 5D beings, we were given free will. And many of us humans fell from our 5D dimension into the lower dimensions of the fourth and the third dimension. We experimented with our free will and played around with jealousy and power and some of these lower energies. And because we're connected, all of us, to humanity, this, to me, seems like this was the deterioration or the decline in a way from humanity living in the luxury of 5D and dropping down into 3D by playing around with what was available to us through our free will, including this power and greed and jealousy. And so I guess my question to you is, there's many masters also that are here on Earth that also fell down into these, I won't say down, but dropped their consciousness into a lower consciousness, experimenting with our free will.
Beloved one, let me shed some clarity on this.
Okay.
Earth, at the time in which it was chosen to be the soul expansion experiment through the seeding of different star nations was existing in the lower dimensionalities of three-dimensional reality. Upon the arrival of these star nations that were coming from enlightened civilizations, there was an uplifting of the frequencies, especially for the establishment of these civilizations. However, in all of the different experiments going on, because you see, there were always the breeding of these star nations with the race that was on Earth at the time. It was through this breeding that the five-dimensional reality started becoming to be lowered by the existing race on Earth. And yes, through the choice of free will, there were many that were derailed into the thirst of power and the thirst of personal benefit, forgetting the benefit of the all and forgetting altogether the unity consciousness that had supported their civilization of origin to become enlightened.
Wow. What is happening on Earth now? It feels to me and many others that we have become awake to what has happened, and we are diligently on a path to returning back to our higher dimensional status. Where are we going? What information can you give us? We are so-called light seeds or light workers that are really awake now and trying to help others through this program and other programs to find our way back into a higher dimensionality. What would you suggest for us?
Beautiful one. From your perspective, in your words, you're all awakening. But from a very practical outlook of what is happening on Earth, there's a very tiny percentage of humankind that is currently awakening from slumber. At the moment, there's less than 3% of the Earth's population that is awakening. Because the population on Earth is up from 8 billion, even what is considered a small percentage, like 3%, it's still a very large number of many millions of people. Fortunately, there's a need for a little more than 5% of humanity fully awakened and working with the unity consciousness to be able to tilt the direction of the demise and truly move into the ascension. And that is why in this moment, with so many of you and so little of you, so few of you, there is this feeling of the ascension path happening, because the 3% of humanity is really entraining that energetic, uplifting the energetic for everybody else. And this 3%, you are all way showers, and you all have the task to be light, to be love, to carry the higher frequency so that others around you can awaken. There is a large chunk of humanity that's going to continue on the lower energetics of greed and power, overpower, I should say, and the three-dimensional darkness will become more and more dense, while the five-dimensional path will become accelerated as you are perceiving it's already happening. And these two paths will eventually separate. And we understand that it is a hard and difficult concept for humans to understand. But this is the direction in which the way things are going. You ask, what can you do? What each and every one can do as you begin to understand that there is Maya and that there is the reality beyond the illusion of Maya. Your task is to do the work. Do the work means on a daily basis, consistently, honor ritualistic time for you to connect with your inner wisdom. You may call it your guidance, your higher self, your super consciousness. It has this and all and many more names. Meditate on a daily basis, contemplate, connect with nature, especially connect with nature at this time, and ground yourself on a daily basis. Connect with the Mother Earth, with Gaia. Walk barefoot. Make sure that you align both with the Earth's frequency and open up to the stars and the divine guidance. Both ends of the spectrum are crucial for you to fully be able to expand your own ability to receive the intuitive information and discern what is real from what is your mind. It is through individually doing your work and expanding your heart, allowing love to be the purifying of your body temple, that you will raise your frequency and you will be able to maintain your frequency raised. And in so doing, you will help others.
Is it possible then to raise our frequency and our physical human bodies to a higher frequency and remain on earth in our physical bodies?
Yes, beloved one. And as you raise your frequency, and as more and more of you are beginning to coexist on the third, the fourth, and the fifth dimensional reality, and I will say a few words about that in a moment, your own bodies will become less dense. Let me expand on this. In this now moment, many of you are already able to connect to our guidance, to higher frequencies of love and light, and already are living your lives by manifestation principles, by raising your frequency to the point that your desires become manifest almost instantly. That is one of the realizations that you are living in the five-dimensional reality. But the five-dimensional reality of you is also coexistent with the three-dimensional reality of you, that aspect of you that needs to take care of life as it is in existence on Earth at this time. You may call it cleaning and sleeping and eating and dealing with your finances, but the more you raise your own frequency, the more you learn to live mostly in the higher frequencies of 4 and 5-dimensional reality and master your ability to come down into 3D to operate in what's needed and then go back up into the 5-dimensional reality. That is actually the description of the ascension journey you're on. And the new higher frequencies eventually become your new normal. And then you get up into another spiraling upward spiral where you raise your frequency to another level. And while you're doing the work of raising your frequency, what happens to you is that you raise your frequency through being in communities of higher frequency, through being with enlightened beings or gatherings where beings from beyond the veil are activating, are helping humanity become activated for the ascension. Oftentimes, you then, when you come back to be in your own space, you lose some of that higher frequency. So you go through an expansion and contraction phase, you may call it, except that the contraction becomes smaller than the expansion. So slowly but surely, you're expanding and raising your frequency until you're able to hold that higher frequency on your own. I would like to say a word about all the civilizations that are very close to Earth at this time, supporting this process of the Earth's ascension, if I may.
Please do.
In this moment, there are many star nations and beings of love and light that are operating in support of the Earth's transformation. And this is because the enlightenment of all of the earth, of humanity, will create a ripple of quantum light that will support the whole universe and will assist all of the nations that are already enlightened to keep the status of enlightenment, supporting other civilizations to then move through the journey of ascension, just like the Earth is doing now. It is important However, for you listening, to stay alert at all times and discern with your own intuition the guidance that you will hear from many different sources, because even though there is a large amount of support for humanity, there's also many on earth at this time that are not truthful and authentic and pretending, bringing forth truths when instead they are not. Since the earth is still very much in contrast. And the more you bring on the light, because of the earth's dual nature, the more of the darkness that will want to rise in contrast to the light. And the most beautiful solution to duality is the Trinity. It is not the existence of duality, but rather oneness that encompasses the duality, love, unity, consciousness. It is through the ever-flowing experience of love that your own luminous body will be holding the higher frequencies. It is also through the awareness that in this moment, the sun of your galaxy is being directly illuminated through the central sun and bringing forth continuously higher frequencies and codes of light, especially golden light and rainbow light. This is happening to support the expansion of the physicality of the human body into a less dense experience. And it is through the light in the central sun of the galaxy that what is known as the Christ consciousness or Christic consciousness, which is none other than divine love, informative, that through the light you can access that information as the light is activating your own luminous body and your physical body. And it is through the activation, opening up to reach into that Christ consciousness, that you will achieve enlightenment. And enlightenment will be achieved one individual at a time. And the more of you that will achieve it, more higher frequency you're going to be holding for others to achieve it. Because you see, beloved, there is the experience of love as you know it as a human, which is beautiful. There's what you humans call unconditional love, which is absolutely beautiful. And then there is divine love. And divine love is what you become when you're enlightened, and is the highest frequency of all that can exist on earth.
So I think what I'd like to ask in closing, Master Adama, is just possibly to give the hope to humanity that we can achieve this divine love and this higher dimensional status within our physical bodies, as the Master showed us they could.
Beloved ones, it is I, Mary Magdalene. My brother, Master Adama, stepped back so that more than give you hope, you can experience hope. Please receive the love activation that is coming through in this moment. Simply say yes to receiving.
Yes.
Beloved ones, in your now moment, wherever you will be listening or watching this transmission, the love pouring through will be right there in the present moment for you. Beloved one, you asked for hope, but hope cannot be given through words in your mind. This is the gift of hope, for you to feel the love, for you to understand that you are this love. And as you can receive it and feel it, you can be this love. And in being this love, you effectively are transforming the frequency of the earth. You are so loved, so loved. We love you, all of us, masters in the light. We thank you for being here and we thank you for receiving. And it is my turn to speak up on behalf of all of us to thank you for opening up this space so that humanity can receive the teachings and the activation of love. We thank you. And we now step back. This emotion is because every time she comes through, the love is so big that it's hard for me to hold it. It is so vulnerable to be doing this in a recording.
This was so special and beautiful. And I know that there's a purpose for this recording, that there are people out there that want to hear this information. My heart is absolutely overflowing with love from Mary Magdalene. I'm here in my center. She's here. It's so huge. So I can only say thank you, Shakti, for being a channel for these beautiful masters and answering these questions that I think are really, really important to humanity at this time. That, hey, it's right here for us right now. You know, I really feel totally and absolutely complete with this channeling that we've done. I'm just grateful. So if there's anything that you have to add to it right now, please add to it, because I'm just sitting here in bliss myself, honestly.
Well, I don't think I can add anything to what the masters say, other than clarifying that when I'm channeling in that dimension, they're showing me in so many different ways. They're showing me with visions, they're speaking, they're making me feel, and sometimes the channeling is the art really of translating what's known as Irdin, Irdin, which is the language in which they talk, into words. And sometimes it's hard to describe what they're showing, which there is no vocabulary to describe that kind of explanation, right? So I know that, and I want you, listener, to understand and know that as I'm channeling, you're not just receiving my words, but you're receiving a transmission that is coming through me throughout the whole time. And that's why, Diane, you say you're so filled with love, because they were more, Adama was talking, but they were all here. And Mary Magdalene many times wanted to come through, and Adama was saying to her, wait, you know. And so when you ask that last question, she's like, okay, this is the experience. And so know that you can listen to this over and over, because you will receive that transmission of love over and over. And I want to thank you for inviting me here. I love being in this space. I love doing the work I do. If I may just say that if you're curious to the work I do, I have a website that is pretty updated, and that's www.theawakenpath.com. That is awaken, not awakened. So AWAKEN, theawakenpath.com. And I work one-on-one, I work with groups, and I'd love to hear from you, for you to check me out if If this was of interest to you, there's also gifts on my website of meditations and ways to connect with your spirit guides that are free for you to download. So thank you, Diane. I love doing work with you. I love having come to your center several times. I love being in this space. Thank you. I'm deeply, deeply grateful and honored to have been here with you.
And I truly hope that in the spring or summer, you'll find time to come back to the center here in Diamond Springs. It's an amazing place. It's an amazing space where souls gather together in kind of like a protected cocoon where the energy comes through, and Shakti's been here, and it's very amazing. So if you're interested in any of we have channelings here, we have the Stargate experience here at the diamondcenter.com. Very simple. That's where I live most of my time. I would really welcome anybody who has questions, if they'd like to email either myself or Shakti to get more information on what we do. I'd be happy to hear that. My site is the diamondcenter.com. Very simple. And Shakti gave you hers, the awakenedpath.com. So both of us are here. And all I can say is namaste and thank you for this time we spent together, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you.